Popcorn therapy. 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 Popcorn therapy.
Welcome to Popcorn Therapy. I'm James Pillion.
And I'm Kane Senis.
And this is episode 13, man. Wow! Dude, we've got the baker's dozen going on.
Dude, did you see the Queen's address on the
No.
coronavirus? Dude, it's
God.
it's historic. It's like one of only 5 times since like before World War I or whatever that she's addressed. Wait, was she around in World War I?
Two.
World War II. When she's like this 200-year-old vampire. Check it out, dude, on YouTube. It's like she addressed the country about the coronavirus, and it was because fucking what's his name? What's his name? Boris Bojo and ScoMo, and so she addressed the nation.
Wow.
And it's quite regal, and she says shit like, "This is the greatest challenge that you will ever face in your lifetime."
Fuck, man, this is terrible to bring up, but
It's kind of a trip.
do you remember that moment with the Queen driving? I don't know what it was for. It was for some celebration in England, and she'd decided to wear this lime green outfit that looked exactly like green screen. So people created all of these memes, like putting like pizza.
Oh, they're
like
comping her in. They're comping her out.
Comped her suit full of all of this crazy shit.
No way, dude. That is my next obsession.
That was it. It gave me a lot of joy.
Oh, man.
At a certain point in time.
When was that? Was that
It's like 3-4 years ago, not that long ago. It was very funny.
So was that like a fundamental kind of like a building block in meme culture?
I think it was very instructive to the meme culture. Yes, yeah. We got a very, very special guest, our good old friend Daniel fucking Zovatto, man. What a guy. We just got off the phone with him, live from LA, and we had a great time, didn't we?
Dude, Danny's great. He's really good people, man. He is a passionate artist, and I've seen him kind of like in his apartment when his art was everywhere, and he was like, dude, it was like Jackson Pollock. It's like he's walking around with his shirt off and there's paint all over him, and he's like, here's a seat, and he like throws a crate over, and you're like tiptoeing through the room, and like it's not like a spare room, it's like the living room.
Well, man, I gotta say, man, what a humble, passionate motherfucker who is facing his pain, man, facing his fears.
Yeah, exactly.
And
he should have his own show. Like that guy should have a show. I would listen to that. When we have our own kind of like Ringer or Smodcast style podcasting empire, we give Danny a show and we call it Hanging Low with Zovatto.
Oh, fuck. There it is. That's it. Hanging Low.
We'll let him name it because he's a true artist and he'd want to be well represented.
You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna let you name your own podcast, okay?
It should be like his graffiti moniker, like how his name's Damage in Vandal.
In Vandal, that's one of his latest movies. If you haven't seen this movie, find it. Do whatever you got to do. Get your hands on it. It's a great fucking indie look at the Miami graffiti scene, right?
Yeah, modern day. So yeah, it was a great chat, and Danny's obviously a friend of both of ours. So here's just like a little kind of background, right? So Danny, we talk about some of the films that he's in, but you would know him from It Follows. He
Breathe.
He was in Don't Breathe, which is honestly one of the cooler kind of genre films that I've seen in a few years.
He was in Ladybird, Greta Gerwig, Woof Woof Woof.
Yep. And what else? And he's got his new show coming out, right?
Well, that's part of the reason we were lucky enough to chat with him. He's got his new show on Showtime, Penny Dreadful, City of Angels,
which is the lead in. He's the lead of a Showtime show, dude.
He's the face of a show, man. That is so exciting.
He's just listening to this right now being like, shut the fuck up, man.
Yeah.
We spoke about not wanting to fucking shoulder that pressure. What are you selling me up the creek for, man? You're hanging me out to dry, you motherfuckers. I thought you were my boys. Danny, we're sorry, but there's a sense of pride, man. It's great. It's sick. It's
man,
awesome.
we're just so proud of you, man.
As condescending as that sounds, he's like, motherfucker, like I'm tearing it up in my lives.
Who are these idiots? These
what are you guys doing?
losers?
You're like fucking bumfuck podcast. Just joking. It was nice to hear that he's really been kind of digging the show and the chats.
Yep. Man, he's a new fan of Popcorn Therapy, and we're very happy to have him.
He can join the party of 4,
5, maybe 5.
Well, it's your girlfriend, it's my girlfriend.
Yeah.
I think Destin's a fan. I think that went well.
I mean, I hope he is. I hope he'll keep
Danny's
listening.
a fan. That's 4. I mean, I know my parents aren't listening.
Me too.
I'll tell you that much. You can't count on your parents. We can only count on the wide open world, and it makes me realize that they're not interested in my science project anymore. I'm grown up, and when they're not interested in the shit you're working in now, it almost makes you feel like you've matured. You've hit a level where your parents don't give a shit what you're making anymore, and there's something beautiful about that. It feels like I've grown up.
I don't know, man. Danny knocked me for 6 with some of these beautiful things that he was sharing, and just on being a working actor in LA, on just sort of staying true to who you are.
Well, and we were all kind of very young, kind of arrived in LA to make films, and we kind of all met around that time. I feel
yes,
like
we did.
Those kinds of bonds stick. You know what I mean?
I just want to say it has been, I think it's scary to say this out loud, but it's been 6 years since I saw Danny Zovatto, spoken to him in any way, and it is so nice to have such a deep and meaningful conversation as you're about to hear.
Yeah, it's lovely.
Have a great time listening, and until next time.
Dude, honestly, I haven't left my house in a month. Like, I've been in here. I finished filming maybe like, I don't know, a week or two before the coronavirus became this thing where everything was being shut down. And I remember I was watching a basketball game and I saw Mark Cuban react to like the NBA being shut down, and he was like, what the fuck? And from there it just started to evolve in this thing where like it started to take over. I think it's been a time where people can like sit down and reflect and and learn new things. And I've actually talked to people that I haven't talked to in years, man.
Wow.
We've been doing these like little poker games online and playing with with kids that I grew up in Costa Rica with. And yeah, there's a lot of beautiful things that have come from that. And hopefully there's a lot of stuff that we learn from this, right?
Yeah. I mean, how have you just sort of felt at home, sort of on your own, not being connected to the greater community, physically at least?
Obviously I love people, and we're also in a profession where we meet a lot of people throughout our careers or whatever jobs we're doing, and obviously there's a lot of I miss that. I miss like the human connection, like just being around somebody and being funny, or I don't know, seeing something that's funny and laughing together. Like I definitely miss that. But I'm also a homebody, so in many ways, like I understand that there's a lot of people. I have a lot of friends who are like, bro, I can't wait to go out. Like I can't wait to do this. And I feel for them, but for me, I'm just like, yeah, I'm chilling. I'm home. I'm painting. I'm doing my stuff. I'm working from home with several different things that I got going on. So it's like I actually like that there's like this time where we can do stuff, and there's no like, oh my god, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Like it's I don't know, it feels nice.
It's getting off the treadmill is how James and I always talk about it.
Yeah.
Just
which you've been talking in your podcast.
That's right. Man, I'm impressed that you've been listening.
I don't know. It's I enjoy your conversation. I do. And I'm really happy that you guys did this. And that's why when you asked me to come, and I was like, for sure, dude.
Oh, thanks, man.
But also, Danny, man, I fucking miss you, man.
I miss you guys too, dude. Fuck.
So I love that we've got this excuse, to get together and have a chat.
Yeah. Man, so has all this crazy shit that's going on, has it given you kind of any inspiration on like the painting front, or do you just feel like it's kind of business as usual with that stuff?
I mean, it's given me it's what we were talking about before. It's given me like that time where you're like, I can just do this and there's no problem. Like, and this is one thing that I kind of related with you guys about, and you talked about this, James, about meditating and all this stuff, or like, I don't know if it's the age that we're in, or if it's that you're trying to prove something or you're trying to achieve something. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely something, a voice that is like, oh man, you need to do this, you need to do that. If you don't achieve this by then, you're a failure. Like all these things, right? And I feel like now at least there's none of that. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, and this virus thing is becoming a thing where every 24 hours we see it in a different light. Like 2 days ago, I was like, what the fuck's going to happen? Today, I'm like, oh, it seems like the worst might be already
right.
in the past, So, with the question, I'm going off rails, but yeah, man, I've enjoyed it in the sense where I get to just like kick back and there's no pressure, and that voice or whatever that exists is a little bit more tamed, and it's just like, fuck, man, enjoy what you got, because that's one of the lessons for me. It's like the ability of not being able to just drive to somebody's house or meet with somebody and go bowling. That's crazy. And we don't have sports. I'm a big sports guy. Like, I need my sports, man. Like,
I'm freaking out without the NBA. I'm like,
and also this NBA season was so good.
Oh, dude, it was like the best finale of like The Bachelor that you've ever seen, and then it's just like the TV went out.
I can't relate to The Bachelor, but bro, the NBA looked amazing.
Just for the record, I do not watch The Bachelor. I have no problem with The Bachelor. Martin Scorsese apparently watches The Bachelor.
No, he doesn't.
Apparently he does. Apparently he's like obsessed with The Bachelor. I do not watch it.
Martin Scorsese loves The Bachelor.
Dude, apparently he does. Like, I don't want to misquote him. It's one of them. It's definitely Vanderpump Rules. Whoa. He's definitely into that.
I can relate to that in the sense of like, I always watch like, those dumb shows like Jerry Springer or like what's the other one? The one where he's like, and you're not the father.
Jerry Springer?
No. It's what's his name? Oh, the Maury Show. Yeah, the Maury Show. He does like DNA tests, and then he reveals if the guy is the father or not. And he's like,
right.
Not. And then they go to commercial break. And then they come back and he's like, you are the father. And you just see the woman being like, I told you. I fucking told you. It's really good.
But
yeah, and also it makes you feel better. You're like, damn, that exists. Like, that's real. Fuck. Like, my decisions aren't as bad. You know what I mean? I'm not married to my sister. Like, you know what I mean? Like all these things, like,
like sometimes at least I feel like these people have like an excuse for their fucked up like headspaces. Like me, I'm sometimes just kind of like I can't detach. Like I really struggle with just fucking like watching something for fun. Like I'll only ever watch something that is on my movie list for what I'm writing. I go to bed, I read a book that is about something I'm researching, and it's like,
yeah, man, you're tough. You're tough on yourself, Kane.
Yeah, but I got to stop that because like I think it's burnout. I think it's burnout, and I'm just like like I'm living in burnout. Yeah. And my therapist was like, if you don't get out of this soon, it'll be like locked into you and you won't know any other way to be. And so I'm like, that's fucking scary.
Well, yeah, because we're animals, man. You end up doing something for a long period of time and you believe that's the only way to do it, But with that said, I will say that work ethic is one of the most beautiful fucking things that anybody can have.
Yes.
So, and I've always told you this, Kane, like, you have great work ethic,
Whoa.
And so I feel like that is a good thing, yet you should also just watch Jerry Springer every night,
At least once a week.
Once a week, you know what I mean? Give yourself an hour or two where you just don't, because I think with anything, I mean, if you do it too much,
Well, if you water your plants too much, they get root rot, and that
Well, there you go.
there you go. And that's kind of the thing with me is like, yes, it's good to have work ethic, but I actually think it gets in the way of sometimes of the pure creativity of like when you switch off, that's when your ideas come. It's not when you're sitting there and forcing them and going, well, like, why isn't this coming?
Yeah, but our new generation, I mean, us, like our generation and stuff, like you see around, like a lot of, I don't want to name people or just point fingers, but there's a general idea that you can achieve things really fast,
Oh yeah.
that you can
Yes.
just
Yeah.
like do like boom and it happens, and like I think that's like a modern idea because we see it happen. I mean, there's a lot of people that become millionaires or or famous or whatever you want to achieve in life, you know what I mean, really quickly, and that didn't happen before. So I just think that this whole thing of like work ethic is something that we should talk about because it's like, I don't know, man, in my opinion, it's important to like sit down and like do what you got to do.
Can I just sort of chase that up because yes, I've been thinking about this. We've been talking about it on the podcast, and it's something I've been really reflecting on with every passing year. LA for me still is the epicenter of so much, like just such a fascinating kind of melting pot of different ideas. But one of those ideas was the one that you just spoke to, of just this like insanity around like celebrity, of being something that is just so, it feels so, it goes against sort of the backbone of humanity for me, of like, as someone, how long have you lived in LA now?
I've been here now for 5 years, and I've been in the States for 10.
But so how do you how do you ensure that you remain true to, is there a certain routine? Is there a certain sort of mantra that you put on life?
I think it was just my upbringing, man. I think I grew up in Costa Rica, and I was really far away from all this. In many ways, it's kind of like a drug. This whole thing of like wanting fame and wanting to be seen and heard, and I think if you just see, there's a lot of positives in doing this. Like you get to work with amazing people, and you get to dive into these worlds. Like, for example, the last thing I did was like a 1930s piece, and I'd never done like a period piece, and that was really exciting for me.
Yeah,
wearing
dude, you
the
look so good in
suits and
those
the cars
suits, man.
and the
Fuck.
sets. Thanks, bro. So you know what I mean? It's just like, I don't know. I see it. I try and see the positives in what this career can give you, and I focus on that. And on meeting amazing people that inspire you to do other things as well. So I think that if you focus on like wanting to be famous, like of course it's going to be, and that's hard, man, because as you guys know, like you could be working one day and the next day you're not. So it's like if you focus on that, you're going to live a very so just big swings, man. And I like to maintain a certain like stability.
Well, it's like it's like the quick fix thing, right? It's like if you want kind of money and fame, and you go all out and you're partying and everything, and it from what I can tell, it's intoxicating for like an actor who's kind of just breaking into the scene in LA and working, and people are telling you that you're like the shit, and like your agent's like, fuck yeah, man, and it must be very easy to start to believe that, and to start to and at that age. I just think back to when I first lived in LA, and like when I got to know you and stuff, and man, I don't think I would have handled shit at that age. Like, if like suddenly my first film had thrown me in like the spotlight and I was directing like some fucking Marvel movie, like what happened with Josh Trank about when he got the Fantastic Four film. And I don't want to say shit that I don't know is true, but just the way that just kind of blew up. And I think it ultimately kind of just came down to maybe the guy not being ready for it. I don't know. But
it is beautiful what you said, Danny, because I do think it does come back to the roots of, where we come from and what values are sort of put upon us, and that we either keep or we strip away to refine it. Because I do think that's what I see when I even talking to you and just hearing about your experiences in LA, they're very different to the ones you read about on TMZ.
Yeah, well, you make your own world here. It's so big in the scope of like this. I lived in New York for 5 years, and that was completely different. You're immersed in a city. You walk out and you're in New York City. Whereas here, it depends on where you live. It depends on how you live. And it depends on who you're with, like your crew, your people, and that's a funny thing. My dad always told me that when I was young. He's like, the crew you hang out with is the crew it ends up being who you are. If you have good people, if you maintain a close relationship with like your family and stuff, I mean, those are all stuff that I don't know. I think we all kind of oversee or stuff, but I find that they ground you,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, though. Like, I mean, I think that even if you come with that grounding, I think LA is such a weird place, and the film industry is such a weird place, and there's a lot of bad shit in there, but there's also the ability, like you're saying, to build worlds and travel time and meet people and see the world, and it's really like a beautiful thing,
Yeah, I mean, like LA, like you guys said, I think it was you, James. It's the epicenter of all of it, and so obviously, you have every single person with a dream in America coming here, plus us immigrants, so it's like a whole bunch of people pursuing a similar goal. And so obviously you're going to meet people that are not going at it from the same avenue, and then you're going to meet others that are, and you try to like find those people and connect with those people, because people say a lot of bad things about LA,
right.
and I get it, but there's also a lot of great stuff about LA and a lot of great people too.
I love that because it's so true.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really special people that live there. You know what? I just wanted to circle back to something that you said in the very beginning, that kind of push-pull between, what you should be doing. Maybe it might stem from a legacy kind of standpoint of leaving something big, something beautiful behind, but then also following what's just true to you. The smallest things. How do you sort of navigate that balance?
Well, I think when I was younger, I was really hard on myself. Not that I'm not now, but it's changed. Obviously, when you grow up, you get to get along with yourself better. I mean, at least this is just me with myself. But I find that I've kind of gotten to a point where you just say, whatever I can't control, I can't control. I can only control the things that I can do, which are, work hard, which we were talking about before, your work ethic, and if you want to make something happen, then make it happen, man. So all the things that you are in your hands that you can do, I do. The rest I can't control. I can't control the fact that there is coronavirus. We can't control that, man. We never expected this to happen. We can't control so many things. We can't control a movie to be received well. We can't control, we can only show up and do our jobs and try to do the best that we can. So yeah. I don't know, man. I think that I'm more open to that idea. I think I allow myself to just focus on the things that I can do. And so in the long run, I try and see things now in a more positive light. I think that every experience is something that you learn. And like what we were saying before, I mean, like I want to be in this in the long run, man. Like I want to keep growing, and I want to keep becoming better and being a better artist in that way. So,
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
It's beautiful.
I haven't seen any of your recent art, but I remember when I came to your art show, and you always just struck me as just this guy who's really real with himself and is like self-aware and searching. And if he doesn't know the answer, he's looking for it. He's kind of saying, look, like, I'm young, I'm hungry for life experiences. I've had the experiences I've had. I'm going through something. I'm processing it, and I'm putting it up there on that canvas, right? And so that's, I don't know. It's like, I think that's like the thing that the three of us kind of relate to is just that kind of search for something, like that kind of search. Like, who am I? Like, am I just lying to myself? Have I been lying to myself for something about a few years? Like, I don't know. Like, am I doing this job for the wrong reason? Am I in the wrong relationship? Am I harnessing a friendship that's kind of not good for me? Like, it's hard to find that self-awareness. And
Yeah.
I think you find it if you look, and if you look harder and you work at it, and you actually listen to things that happen to you in life and learn from them. That's obviously got to speed like the process up than if you're just kind of wandering through life, just being hit by everything and not really trying to think hard on it, just being like, oh, that's life, man. Like I'm 45 and I'm 45. I'm married with kids. I hate my job. I hate my life, but this is life, right? And it's like, no, man, like you made all those choices.
Yeah, for sure.
And now you're trying to avoid it.
And the two things with what you just said. One, it's like that's one of the reasons why I think, what attracted me as just like a fan of what you guys are doing, because that's what you guys were talking in the beginning. It's just like to ask questions and I find that if you do that and you're open about it, then you find those people like you guys, and you then all three of us ask questions, and then I don't know, I think that's the whole point. Otherwise,
dude,
what are we doing here? Like,
but it's hard, right? It's like in the Matrix. It's like you take the red pill, the blue pill, and fucking like Cypher is sitting there. He's like, I wish I took the blue pill.
Well, and that's the thing. Yeah, you there's not a one way to live, but man, fuck, I'll take this one all day.
But I'm saying that opening of Pandora's box when you start to become that person who plays with fire, or not who plays with fire, but who studies it, who's like a bit of a pyro.
Here's this thing, because I remember the Tim Ferriss podcast, and he had Brené Brown on, and there was this really amazing thing of one of Tim's friends. So Tim Ferriss, he's an entrepreneur. I think I've spoke about him on the show before, but he's just someone that's kind of like us. He's working through his problems, asking questions, trying to find answers to them. And he was talking about how he has a buddy who's in his 40s. I think he's divorced with kids, and essentially saying, I don't want to open Pandora's box because I'm scared of what I'm going to find. Brené, she was like, well, have you ever thought about the idea that he's in Pandora's box right now? Like his life is mayhem, like he's not happy. He's denying his truth. He's denying what life really could be for him. And instead, so he's just living in this like sort of utter mess. And I just thought that was fucking amazing to think about.
Yeah. It's like a self-made hell, or like a self-made cell.
That's it, man. That's it.
But one of the most, like, I mean, for me, I always find, like, whenever I work, going back to like just acting and whatnot, but like if whenever I work with people that I admire or that have been doing this for, I'm 28, so for way longer than my age, you know what I mean? So they've been acting for 35 years or something like that. And I just love, getting to ask them questions and if I find it really interesting, because what I would have expected, for them to be like, oh, well, you do it this way or you do it that way. You know what I mean? Like have all the answers. And these people, they are still pondering. They're still figuring it out. They're still going about it. And that was like one of the biggest lessons for me. I mean, to just be like, this is just how it's going to be, like, and that's a beautiful thing, and enjoy that. Like, don't, because I would always think about it in a negative way, because when you look around, like what you were saying, and you see these people who are just like going about their day like nothing's happening, and I'm like, fuck, I love whatever he's doing. But then again, like, it was just because I just thought like, well, what I'm doing is not, it's being a disservice to me, but it actually wasn't. So I don't know, I think that's, I don't know, something that at least helps me,
I've always loved actors. Like from day one, I've always just loved what actors do, and like I've wanted to hang with the actors the most on set, and just, I don't know. It's just it's cool, man. I mean, do you like, are there actors that you, I don't know, like, what's your top 5? Like if you could work with anyone all time?
For at least I'll tell you this. Well, growing up, I grew up in the 90s, and I think as a kid and stuff, I mean, I saw Leo's career, kind of evolve. And for me, that was kind of like a very big North Star, I mean, Basketball Diaries, and Once Eating Gilbert, Grape, and The Beach and stuff.
I knew you'd like
So-
Basketball Diaries. You're such
Yeah,
a Basketball Diaries guy.
Man, that's one of my favorites.
You're like, just fucking bleed it out there, Leo.
just do it. You know? Dude, that scene with him and the mom.
Oh, dude,
in the
I
kitchen.
can't watch it. I actually like if it's on, I have to change the channel.
It's
I-
hard
I-
hitting.
I can't do it.
Yeah. It feels too close to home.
I
Yeah.
can't do it, dude. And that's one of the hardest ones. He's terrible at basketball in that. Like none of those guys can play basketball.
Well, I bet Marky Mark can play a little hoops. You know what I mean?
I mean, he's probably gotten better now that he kind of like travels his basketball courts to wherever he goes.
It's true. Yeah, he's got. I think I saw a video of him. I don't know who it was, but he was like, I think it was Curry or something. He was trying to get, I don't know, some famous basketball player to teach one of his kids.
Right.
Just, hey, Shaq, can you come teach my kid how to dunk? You know what I mean? Sure, why not?
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, the life.
That's Hollywood,
the
man.
life that
That's
affords
Hollywood,
you.
baby.
Shit, that's weird.
Actually, you know what? I wanted to go all the way back. I'd just been thinking about some of your early films and how a lot of them were sort of in this kind of horror thriller genre. Was that something that just sort of happened? It just sort of, they were just scripts that you said yes to because there was something in it? Or, I mean, what was that? Because they're films that, scare the shit out of me.
How good is Don't Breathe, dude?
Yeah,
I
Don't
fucking
Breathe
love
is
that movie.
terrifying. Fuck.
It's so tight, dude.
Yeah.
I like show it to so many people. I'm like, dude, have you seen Don't Breathe? And they're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I got your movie night.
You're in for something. No, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm a big horror fan. I love horror movies. But obviously, when you're starting off, you know, you get what you get.
That's
you know,
true.
The
Yep.
scripts that fall in your lap. So, if we're gonna be honest here, at the beginning of my career, you know, obviously, like I came out of school, and I remember I auditioned for this movie, which was, I don't know if you guys saw it, The Place Beyond the Pines.
Oh, dude, I love that movie. Yeah.
Yeah. So this woman, her name is Cindy Tolan. I'll never forget her. She was casting this movie, and it was literally like I went to Strasbourg for a few years, and the guy that worked at the main office, I believe his name was John or Joe, but he gave me this thing, and it was like an open call in the US, and he's like, bro, I think you should go and audition for this. And I've never auditioned in my life except like, you know, an audition class in school. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, all right. So I went to my teacher, Paul Calderon, who is in Pulp Fiction, who plays Paul, the bartender.
Oh,
Anyways.
fuck. Yes, dude.
So anyways,
Oh,
there's
man,
a whole
that's
story
awesome.
behind Paul Calderon. If you look, because Paul auditioned for Samuel L. Jackson's role, and Quentin.
Right. right.
Anyways, there's a whole story behind that. But so I went to Paul and I said, bro, I have this audition. Like, can you help me out? And he's like, yeah, sure. So he helped me out. And I went and I auditioned for this thing once. And then I came back and I read again. And then I think when I turned 20 or 21, Cindy called me and she left me a voicemail. I didn't pick up because it was a phone number that I didn't have. So I heard the voicemail and it was Cindy, and she was like, I have good and bad news. And she was like, the good news is I want you to go meet with this person, all these agents and stuff. And the bad news is that you lost the role to Dane DeHaan, who played the role.
Oh, dude.
Wow.
Oh.
Dane DeHaan is, in my opinion, one of the fucking best actors there is in the world. So,
Yeah.
and especially in
Dude,
my
that's a
age.
compliment.
He's
So,
great in that film, too.
he's fucking fantastic. So I obviously, you know, I was like, no, like it was horrible, man. You know what I mean? I was so close to something that whatever. Big lesson. So then from there, that's how I got like an agent and all that shit. Actually, I got a manager through that. So then, you know, all these, you know, I did a movie called Beneath, which was my first movie. Actually, it was Innocence, which was a different one, which I just played like this like skater boyfriend. So anyway, so then I did Innocent and Beneath, and that allowed me to stay in the country because, you know, as you guys know, we need to have the what's it called, the O1 visa, the artist
Yeah.
visa.
Yeah.
So that allowed me to stay into this country. And I remember calling my dad, bro, and I was like, Dad, I got the visa. And he goes, oh, really? I could have sworn to God you weren't going to get it. I was like, dude, I was like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, give me some credit, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, my own father ain't believing in me. So then I stayed here, and then I did, and then It Follows was obviously, a big
Oh,
That was
a
big.
big thing for me because that was like a movie that went to all the festivals and all this stuff.
And spoilers. I mean, we get to see you having sex with the mum who turns you into
man.
electricity.
What
on the
happened
floor.
there?
It's like some blue.
poor woman, man. That woman. Oh my God, she had a daughter, and she was concerned about her daughter going to school and her, and all this stuff.
And
And
seeing that, right?
yeah.
Oh,
I mean, look, and to be honest with you, because I remember when I read It Follows, like the script, and I was like, I was going to Costa Rica because my sister was sick at the time, so I went to and I was visiting her, and when I came back, they sent me the script, and I was reading it, and I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, you're getting some demon from if you have like what STD,
Yeah,
like what?
yeah.
It's the STD
Fuck.
monster.
It's the STD demon, yeah.
Like, is this what they taught us at school?
Yeah, I'm like, fuck, man. I live in New York too. Like, this is great. No, okay. And then I watched, which if you haven't watched it, you should watch it. The Myth of the American Sleepover.
That was his film before, right?
And that was his first film that he did literally with like I think like $30,000 with non-actors, and that movie went to Cannes. And actually, when you watch it, like the cinematography, which is the same guy, it's Mikey I can't say his last name. Yeah, and actually, Mike and David went to. I think they went to Florida State University. I might be fucking this up, but I know they went to the same school to study. And so, anyways, I watched American Sleepover, and I was like, man, this thing is amazing, and I understood it. Like, it all made sense. And then obviously, it has a great cast, and it did really well. People really liked it.
But dude, I tell you what, man, the cinematography is a major star of that film.
Oh yeah,
it really and production
and the soundtrack too. I mean,
which
the soundtrack is amazing.
It's all, I guess, directing, right? That's really his vision for it.
Yeah, no, and I mean, I think David Robert Mitchell is. I love that guy, man. I love his movies.
Have you seen Under the Silver Lake yet?
I have.
I have. Shit, man, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, you should watch it. I love David's movies because they create this like world that this like, I don't know, man. I feel like I'm in like this, there's like fog around me and I don't know where I'm at. Like, it's like this new world that he brings me into. Yeah, it's like exactly a dream. Yeah. Well, actually, It Follows came from his dreams, from his, from this recurring dream that he had. So
that's wild.
Yeah.
So, dude, just quickly, it was really bizarre seeing you in that trailer for. So, what's the name of the show? It's Penny Dreadful. What?
Penny Dreadful City of Angels.
City of Angels, dude. Yeah. Seeing you in that trailer, so clean cut, in the suit, short hair, shaved. I was like,
"Who the fuck is this guy?"
I had to look twice. I'm like, "That's fucking Danny." So that's great, man.
It's so cool, man. It's so beautiful to see that trailer. Actually, I love that.
It was awesome, dude. It was awesome. You guys were talking about. I heard you talked about Skyfall, which was written by John Logan, who wrote this as well.
That's right.
And
right, because we were trying to guess who wrote it.
Who wrote it? And it was John. I was listening. I'm like, it's John Logan, and then you guys weren't saying
you're reading out like 5 names, like.
Yeah. But yeah, John is a great man. Like, John has written, Any Given Sunday.
Whoa,
Rango. Fucking,
he wrote the
King Todd.
He wrote the claw for the inches, the Al Pacino monologue. You got a claw for those inches.
It's funny because I told John this one day because I was like, I have to tell him. I used to listen to that fucking monologue. I like back in the day when it was a little bit harder to download shit from the internet. I downloaded it somehow and then put it on my phone, and it was just like the audio thing. And I would listen to that like at night to go to sleep as a form of like being inspiring to like go the extra inch or so. I don't know what the fuck it was, but it made sense in my mind at the time. And I did that.
I thought you were going to say that you use it to work out or something. You're like, give me that inch.
You see me working out. That's like me wearing a suit. But yeah,
you look good in the suit. So I mean,
thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Tell us a little more, just some details. Like, how long were you shooting for, and was it all shot in LA or?
Yeah, dude, that was one of the coolest things that they actually do. They spend good money. I mean, it's Showtime, and they really wanted to, obviously it's John Logan, so the first Penny Dreadful was really successful, and they create they create these sets, man, that are just, man, it's one of the craziest things I've ever. I mean, I've never seen stuff like that in my life. I've never been a part
Wow.
of that magnitude. They literally everything was there for us. There was, of course, green screens and all that shit for like the background, but what was the physical, like the physical buildings were there, the cars, the clothing. There was days where we had 600 extras, and it was just like 150 cars. I literally felt like I was in the Truman Show,
Oh my
Yeah.
and
God.
I was Jim Carrey, and there was a time, there was one scene, and I will never forget. Well, there was two scenes, but there was one where I will never forget, where we were doing a scene, and this guy was like pretending to be drunk, and everything around, everybody was homeless, and everybody was like, and this guy's just an extra, and he was just like walking at me, and I was just like, where the milkman was next to him, and I was like, where, like, how is this 2020? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't know where I was, and that was just the credit of like the production team, man. Like it was insane,
I mean, it looks like it's done in a really classy way from the trailer. Like it looks like there's been an eye for detail.
Yeah, you can
It's
tell
not
they
trying
put
to
the
do it cheap.
money in front of the camera. It's beautiful.
And
And
talent,
behind.
like probably a lot. Yeah,
Well,
yeah, some of the best.
so
I would imagine.
that's actually a fascinating thing, because just as you were sort of telling that story, with the extras, like just that pressure on your shoulders would just be enormous, at least for me. And I was just wondering, is there anything that you, and it might just also be just time and experience, but where you don't let it get to you?
Yeah. I look, I see acting very, like, I love athletes. That episode of Kobe, bro, I was like, yes, talk more about
Oh,
Kobe.
dude.
He's one. I grew up with him as well. I grew up with him. I grew up with Tiger. I grew up with Messi. I just love athletes. Even Cristiano Ronaldo, who is my enemy because he's not in my team, but I still feel like he's fucking amazing athlete. I just feel like that's my mentality, at least what I try to. Just like, if you have a big game 6 to win, you're not, it's just like, man, it's another fucking game, let's go and do it. And it's not to say that those thoughts are not in there, like I'm not Superman or anything. They are in there. That there's a lot of money, that there's a lot of pressure, that there's a lot of, on your shoulders, like you said, but like what we talked about in the first 5 minutes of this conversation, you have to find, um, the things that you can have control with, and that is that I did my work, and that I did what I had to do before showing up, and that's all I can do. If it goes wrong, like, fuck, man, it went wrong, but I mean, I did my work, man. I swear to God, I did. I wasn't partying last night, so it's that type of support that you give yourself, where you did the work.
So it really is no different. Like, I mean, it feels like the night before, like the final, and your like teams made the final, but it feels like that like every day.
There's jobs where you don't feel like that. I mean, there's jobs where you can go and just, the pressure's not on. But at least for this one, the thing is, John always described this character, Tiago Vega, who I'm playing, like his Hamlet, and right away you hear Shakespeare and you're like, what? You're like, wait a second, what you said? Like, you're like, what the hell's going on here? And I think he gave me a gift, if anything, where I was put with a lot of pressure, but man, that's a beautiful fucking thing. Like, I feel like I like that. Where if I make the 3-point shot when there's 2 seconds left to win the game, I don't know if it's gonna go in, but I'll take the shot. And that's kind of like what I kind of focus on. It's like, I'm here for a reason. I don't know what the reason is, but I want to make the best out of it, and whatever that is, I don't know, man. I hope it's good enough. I'm hard on myself. Don't get me wrong, man. I never get home and I'm like, fuck, I killed that scene. Like, you'll never hear me say that. Like, there's actors who I work with. He's like, bro, fucking kill that shit. And I'm like, okay, like, it's fucking great. I can never say that. I can never say I fucking kill that shit. I always ponder what I should have done and what I could have done different, or if
So there's never even that quiet, like that confidence when you hear the director be like, "Okay, we got it." Aren't you just kind of like, yes?
I'm always like, can I have one more? Just because I need to sleep at night, and I need to get home and do all the stuff that you think about.
It's interesting because what I just love, you shining a light on just the process of bringing stories to light in front of the camera. That kind of humility, that preparedness, like putting in the time, just showing up over and over again. It's something that's just completely overlooked and undervalued. We've spoken about it quite a lot on the podcast, just this kind of fast food society that we're living in. And I just think it's so beautiful to hear it and just to be reminded that it's no different to any other job, whether you're an accountant or a lawyer. You need to show up in order for the work to get done. It doesn't just happen. And so this idea of actors just nailing it and just like shooting that 3-pointer, it's like, it doesn't just happen. It's lots and lots of work.
I mean, look, I'm sure it happens. Who knows, but I'm not that guy. So, I try to like focus on like, also like James, I'm fucking lucky, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, in the sense of like, I've gotten lucky to play this role, and I've been lucky to play this other role, and I've been lucky to work with this director and that director. Like, and I don't take that for granted, man. Like, cause I feel like once you don't feel grateful, then you're in shit,
Our first guest, Destin Daniel Cretton, he was just he was beautiful. He was just sort of telling us his mantra for living in LA and working in the film business. And it's exactly that. It's that gratitude of every single project, being grateful for the opportunity and knowing in the deepest part of himself that he would do it for free. It's not about the money. It's not about the fame. It's not about festivals or, the credits or whatever, just that he gets to tell a story that he wants to tell. And I just thought that was fucking beautiful to hear.
Yeah. And also like, you meet people and they make you think differently too. That's another thing that I really like about this, that I feel like every project I go in, somebody, and I come out with something else,
Yeah. Well, and that's like life, right? I mean, it's like you have that relationship with someone that taught you this, and then you go on and have another one, and it teaches you that, and we're only really shown ourselves like by kind of scraping up against other people, right? And that's like that gratitude thing, man. Like, I feel like ashamed to admit it, but it's like hard. It's really hard for me sometimes. Like, I actually think my number one problem is like I've actually so much in life, and I'm always mad that I don't have that next thing that I'm working on, and it's hard. And obviously, like I'm comforted in the sense that like I know I'm never going to stop doing it, because for me, it's like just making movies and stuff is really the only thing that I want to do. So I don't question it. And like we said, it's the gratitude to just go and make something like painting a picture, even if no one sees it. Like you're still going to do it, because it's the doing of the thing, it's the making of the thing that is the reward, because it helps you to process something at the time or whatever. But we didn't even we didn't shout out Vandal. I always feel bad when we only talk about like the kind of bigger films, because there's a great indie scene that we need to support too.
For sure. No, that's and now that we're doing that, Vandal, it was a great experience with amazing people in Miami, like all the graffiti scene with Risky and Dax and all these like fucking graffiti legends. And JD, who directed, is an amazing guy. And then also, dude, to give a shout out to this guy that I worked with, Cam Van Hoy, who did a movie Flinch, which is fucking awesome. And so it's like, yeah, man, I also love that type of, like, I love indies, and that, Kane, because you're in that game too. I feel like there's so much good stuff that doesn't get the money that all these superheroes get. So
And you know what? I think it's actually a beautiful way to round this conversation out, because that kind of push and pull, as we were talking about, with what we love, and that idea of that pressure point of when is it okay to not necessarily sell out, but just to play the game, and to learn how to play it your way. I just thought that was something that I got from it, and I just thought that was really beautiful, and I love the way your character is just so conflicted about just opening up and surrendering to the fact that, the game is the game, and I can play it the way I'm going to play it.
Yeah, I think that's one of the and that's the cool thing we were talking about before. It's like you learn certain things from certain movies, whether it's your character teaching you a lesson or somebody you meet in the movie or whatever. People tell you if you want to get to this point, you got to do A and B, and then you'll get to C, and But there's really no way you can create your own way, and I don't know. I think that's something cool to do. To not just follow what people tell you to do, just to believe in what you think you should do for yourself.